Kale woke to the sound of metal twisting and fires burning around him. Pain ran through his body, but his mind was sharper than ever. He opened his eyes slowly and saw the sky painted with the strange colors of alien ships hovering. Above the planet, smoke filled the air, and the ground beneath him shook with explosions. His unit had been ambushed, most of his friends were gone, and he had been left behind. He struggled to sit up. One arm was broken, his leg was bruised, and every breath felt like fire in his chest. His suit was torn, and the world around him looked like a nightmare. Yet Kale did not panic. He had survived worse situations during training, and he knew humans were known for never giving up. His mind raced. If he stayed here, he would die. But if he moved, he might find a way to survive. Kale crawled over the wreckage of his ship, feeling the heat from fires and avoiding broken metal that could cut his skin. He saw the bodies of alien soldiers scattered nearby. They had tried to finish him, but he had hidden when their leader, Varkin, had personally come to ensure no human survived. The thought of the alien general made Kale's stomach tighten, but also fueled a spark of anger. The alien had underestimated him. Humans were clever, strong, and persistent. They could not be crushed so easily. He found a small shelter under a fallen piece of his ship. It was dark and smelled of smoke, but it would protect him from the burning wreckage and the patrols that might return. Kale checked his supplies. He had a few rations, some water, and a damaged communicator. Nothing could call for help. He was completely alone. Kale's mind went over what had happened. His unit had been sent to the planet to scout and destroy an alien base. The mission went wrong when the aliens had ambushed them with superior numbers and strange weapons. He remembered seeing his friends fall one by one, fighting bravely but overwhelmed. Then Varkin had appeared, tall and powerful, with armor that shimmered in strange light. He had stared directly at Kale before leaving, assuming the human would not survive. That memory burned in Kale's mind. He knew the alien thought he was weak, but Kale refused to be weak. He promised himself that he would survive, and when he did, he would make Varkin and the aliens regret leaving him alive. Humans had a way of rising from situations that seemed impossible. Kale's thoughts gave him strength. Night fell, but Kale did not sleep. He listened to the distant sounds of alien machines and the occasional roar of strange creatures that roamed the planet. He tried to move, testing his strength. Each step caused pain, but he forced himself forward. He needed to reach a safer place, somewhere the aliens would not find him, somewhere he could plan his next move. The next morning, Kale spotted a faint trail of smoke in the distance. It was not from the wreckage, and it seemed smaller, controlled. Curious and hopeful, he decided to investigate. The journey was slow. Every step caused his leg to throb, but he used his hands to help push himself forward. Hours passed before he reached a hidden valley surrounded by tall rocks. In the middle of the valley was a small human colony. The colony was hidden and well protected. Humans had built it to survive in secret after previous alien attacks. Kale approached cautiously. Guards saw him and raised their weapons, but he raised his hands and showed he was not a threat. After a tense moment, the leader of the colony, a woman named Mara, came forward. She studied him closely. "Who are you?" Mara asked, her voice firm but curious. "My name is Kale," he said, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. "I survived an attack. Most of my unit is gone. The aliens left me behind. I need help." Mara's eyes narrowed. She had seen many humans writhe in desperate situations, but something about Kale made her pause. There was determination in his eyes, a spark that told her this man would not give up easily. "You are lucky to have found us," Mara said finally. "Come inside. We will help you recover. Then you can tell us everything." Inside the colony, Kale was treated for his injuries. He had broken bones set, wounds cleaned, and he was given food and water. As he ate, he told Mara and the other colonists about the ambush. He described Varkin, the alien general, and the danger that still loomed over humanity. The colonists listened carefully. Some were afraid, but Kale's words inspired hope. They had been hiding for so long, waiting for a chance to fight back. And here was a man who had survived the impossible. Kale stayed awake that night, staring at the ceiling of the shelter. He knew the aliens would not stop at the colony. They would continue to attack other human worlds. Humans were clever, resourceful, and persistent, but they needed to act quickly. He had survived once, and he would survive again, but this time, he would make sure humanity had a chance to fight back. By the next morning, Kale had made a plan. He would recover strength in the colony, learn what he could about the aliens, and then find a way to warn the princess, the leader of the capital world. She needed to know the aliens were coming and that humans were ready to fight. Kale had survived because he refused to die, and now his mission was bigger than himself. It was for all of humanity. For the first time in days, Kale allowed himself a small smile. He was still alive, still thinking, still ready to fight. The aliens had left him behind thinking he was weak, but they had underestimated humans. They had underestimated him. Kale knew the road ahead would be dangerous, filled with pain and uncertainty. But he also knew humans never gave up. They adapted. They survived. They fought. Kale's eyes burned with determination as he looked toward the horizon. The planet was harsh, but it was not the end. It was the beginning of something greater. Humans would rise. And Kale would make sure the aliens remembered that no human could be left behind and forgotten. Kale spent the next few days resting in the hidden colony. His body ached, but his mind was sharper than ever. The colony was small, built underground, with tunnels connecting living spaces, storage areas, and training rooms. Humans had adapted to the harsh environment of the planet, creating a safe haven away from alien patrols. Kale watched the colonists move efficiently, sharing food, repairing equipment, and keeping the colony clean. It reminded him that humans could survive even in the most difficult situations. Mara, the leader of the colony, visited him daily. She was calm and observant, with gray hair tied back and eyes that seemed to see everything. She asked him questions about the ambush, the alien General Varkin, and his unit. Kale answered carefully, describing the attack and the aliens' weapons. He noticed that the colonists were listening closely. Some of them had lost friends and family to the same aliens. They knew the pain of loss, but they also understood the need to fight back. Why did you survive when the others did not? Mara asked one evening, as Kale sat in the small mess hall eating a warm meal. I do not know. Kale replied honestly. Maybe it is because I refuse to give up. Humans never give up easily. We find ways to survive, even when things seem impossible. That is how we live, and that is how we fight back. Mara nodded slowly. She had seen many humans arrive at the colony broken and afraid. Few had the courage to continue after losing everything. Kale's determination inspired her. After his injuries began to heal, Kale started exploring the colony. He walked through the tunnels, observing the humans' daily routines. He noticed how they trained young fighters, how they maintained weapons, and how they shared information about alien movements. Every detail gave him ideas about how humans could resist on a larger scale. He realized that the colony was more than a shelter. It was a small army waiting for a chance to act. One day, Kale met a young scout named Darrow. Darrow had grown up in the colony and had never seen the surface freely. He was curious and energetic, always asking questions about the outside world. Kale took him on a short training exercise, teaching him how to move quietly, avoid detection, and use simple traps. Darrow listened carefully, absorbing every detail. Why do you care about humans so much? Darrow asked. You could just rest and recover, but you teach us and plan to fight back. Kale smiled. Because humans survive. Because humans are clever. Because we never give up. If we stay hidden and afraid, the aliens win. If we fight, we have a chance, and I will do everything I can to help humans win. Days turned into a week, and Kale began to plan his next step. He knew that staying in the colony was safe, but it would not stop the aliens. The real danger was still coming, and the humans needed a leader who could unite them. That leader was the Princess Leora, who governed the capital world. Kale had to reach her. He needed to warn her about the aliens' plans and show that humans could resist. Before he could leave, he needed information. Kale spoke to Mara about scouting the surrounding lands. She agreed, knowing that it was risky, but also understanding that Kale's knowledge and determination could make a difference. Kale prepared his small pack, checking weapons, food, and water. He studied the maps the colonists had drawn, marking areas where alien patrols moved. Every step of his plan required careful thought. Early the next morning, Kale left the safety of the colony. Darrow accompanied him, eager to see the world above ground. The sunlight was harsh and bright after days underground, but Kale pushed forward. He climbed hills, crossed rocky terrain, and avoided alien patrols. He left small markers for humans to follow if necessary, showing the way to safety and signaling areas that were dangerous. During their journey, Kale and Darrow discovered signs of alien activity. They found destroyed settlements and equipment left behind. It reminded Kale of the scale of the threat. The aliens were strong, but humans were clever. Kale used his knowledge to set small traps along the path, leaving evidence that humans were not defenseless. Each trap slowed the aliens and showed that humans could fight back using intelligence and strategy rather than sheer force. As they traveled, Kale taught Darrow everything he knew about survival. He explained how to read the land, find water, and stay hidden. He showed Darrow how to improvise weapons using natural materials and small devices from the colony. Darrow learned quickly, inspired by Kale's courage and skill. By the end of the day, Darrow was no longer just a curious boy. He was becoming a young fighter. That evening, they found a small cave to rest. Kale looked at the stars through the opening and thought about the princess. Leora needed to know that the aliens were coming and that humans could fight. Kale had survived an impossible attack, and he would not waste his second chance. Humans had endured for centuries, adapting to every challenge. They would endure again. Kale's thoughts turned to Varkin, the alien general who had left him behind. He did not feel fear, only determination. Humans were clever, persistent, and strong when they had a reason to fight. Kale had survived, learned, and prepared. He would make Varkin see that leaving a human alive could be a dangerous mistake. By morning, Kale and Darrow continued their journey, moving quickly and carefully. They avoided patrols, using the terrain to their advantage. Kale's knowledge and determination guided them, while Darrow's energy and curiosity gave them hope. Every step brought them closer to the capital and to the princess. The world above ground was harsh and dangerous, but Kale saw potential. Humans could survive here, adapt, and fight. The hidden colony had shown him what humans could do when they worked together, and now it was time to take that lesson to the larger world. Kale and Darrow pressed forward, knowing that the real challenge was still ahead. The aliens were coming, and the humans had a chance to fight back. Kale had survived once, and he would survive again, not just for himself, but for everyone who still believed in humanity's strength. As the sun rose, casting light over the rocky terrain, Kale felt a spark of hope. He had a mission, a purpose, and a reason to fight. Humans never gave up, and he would prove it. Kale and Darrow moved through the rough terrain with caution. The land around them was jagged, filled with sharp rocks, deep crevices, and the remains of old alien patrols. Each step was slow but necessary. Kale's legs still ached, reminding him that his injuries were not fully healed. Darrow, full of energy, kept pace easily, but Kale knew he had to be careful. One wrong move could alert the aliens or trap them in a dangerous situation. As they walked, Kale scanned the horizon. The alien ships patrolled the skies, moving in predictable patterns. He had learned to read their movements, noticing which areas were safer and which were risky. "We have to stay in the shadows and use the rocks for cover," Kale whispered to Darrow. "If we are careful, we can move without being seen." Darrow nodded, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. He had never faced danger like this before, but he trusted Kale. The older man had survived impossible attacks and still moved forward. Darrow tried to copy Kale's careful steps, keeping low and silent. Every noise could attract alien attention. Hours passed before they reached a dry riverbed. The river had not flowed for years, leaving behind cracked soil and jagged stones. Kale studied the area. It was risky to cross because the open space made them visible. but it was faster than climbing around the cliffs. He made a decision. We move quickly across this area, Kale told Darrow. Stay low and follow my steps exactly. Do not run, but do not stop. Watch the rocks ahead and cover each other. They moved with precise timing. Kale led, stepping carefully on the stones. Darrow followed, keeping his eyes on Kale. Halfway across, they heard the low hum of an alien scout drone. Kale froze, crouching behind a rock. The drone's sensors scanned the ground slowly, but it passed without noticing them. Darrow exhaled quietly, and Kale continued the path once the drone moved on. That night, they found a small cave to rest. Kale checked their supplies. Food and water were limited, so they rationed carefully. He also cleaned his weapons and checked Darrow's small blaster. The two of them ate in silence, listening to the wind whistle outside the cave. Kale spoke finally, breaking the quiet. We are moving in the right direction. The capital is not far from here, but the aliens control much of the land. We need to be smarter than they expect. Humans are clever, and we can use that to our advantage. Darrow looked at Kale. Do you really think humans can beat the aliens? They are so strong. Kale smiled faintly. Strength alone does not win wars. Cleverness, planning, and courage do. Humans have survived harsh planets, strange creatures, and impossible attacks before. We will survive again. The next morning, they continued their journey. Kale led them through a narrow canyon. The walls were high, and sunlight barely reached the ground. It was perfect for hiding, but it could also become a trap. Kale's eyes constantly scanned the edges of the canyon, looking for patrols or signs of movement. Suddenly, they heard a low growl from behind. Kale spun around, pulling Darrow behind a rock. A large alien creature, tall and covered with armor like scales, prowled the path. Its glowing eyes searched for prey. Kale quickly assessed the situation. Running would be dangerous, but staying could be deadly. He whispered to Darrow, "Follow my lead. We make noise to confuse it, then move while it is distracted." Kale grabbed a loose rock and threw it to the side. The creature turned toward the sound, giving them a brief chance. They sprinted low across the canyon floor, leaping over rocks and fallen branches. The creature roared in frustration, but could not catch them in the narrow space. Finally, they reached a wider area where they could hide behind a cluster of boulders. Both of them were out of breath, but alive. Kale patted Darrow on the shoulder. "See? Humans survive because we think and act quickly. That creature was dangerous, but we were smarter." Darrow nodded, smiling despite the fear. He was learning quickly, becoming more confident with each challenge. Kale felt proud but reminded himself not to underestimate the dangers ahead. The alien forces were relentless, and the path to the capital was still filled with threats. Over the next few days, they traveled through forests and rocky plains. Kale continued to teach Darrow about survival, camouflage, and reading the land. They discovered abandoned human settlements destroyed by the aliens. Some of the homes had signs warning humans not to approach. Kale studied these carefully, noting traps and patterns the aliens had used. This knowledge would be valuable later. One evening, they spotted a small alien outpost. 2 guards patrolled the perimeter with glowing weapons. Kale crouched behind a bush and whispered to Darrow, "We need to move carefully. We can go round, but I want to see how they operate. Observe their movements and timing for ours." Kale and Darrow watched the outpost from a safe distance. They noticed how the aliens communicated with signals, how they rotated guards, and how they checked the perimeter. Kale smiled quietly. This information would help humans if they ever attacked the outpost. Even small knowledge could become a big advantage. By the next morning, they moved past the outpost, avoiding detection. Kale's leg ached, but he refused to stop. Each step was closer to the capital and to the princess. Humans had survived much worse, and Kale knew they could survive this. At night, they camped under the open sky. Stars stretched across the blackness like a map. Kale thought about the journey ahead and the danger waiting for them. The aliens were strong, but humans had something more powerful: imagination, courage, and the will to fight. He looked at Darrow and smiled. The boy was learning, growing, and becoming part of the human resistance. Kale knew the real challenge was still ahead. The capital world was heavily guarded, and the aliens would notice any unusual movement. But humans had a way of turning impossible situations into victories. He had survived once against Varkin, and he would continue to survive every lesson he taught Darrow, every trap he left for the aliens. Every step he took brought humanity closer to a chance to fight back. As dawn broke, Cale and Darrow prepared to move again. The canyon behind them was quiet, the stars fading into the morning light. Cale felt a mix of fear and excitement. The path was dangerous, but it was also full of opportunity. Humans could adapt, survive, and fight, and Cale was determined to lead them toward that chance. They walked on, knowing that every step mattered. The capital awaited, and the princess needed to know that humans were ready. The aliens had underestimated them once, but they would not make the same mistake again. Humans never gave up, and Cale would make sure they remembered that. Cale and Darrow finally reached the outskirts of the capital. The city rose like a fortress, with tall walls and towers stretching toward the sky. Alien patrols were visible on the walls. Moving in a steady rhythm, Cale studied their patterns carefully, noting when guards changed shifts and where blind spots appeared. The capital was heavily guarded, but he had learned from every challenge along the way. Humans could survive if they were clever and careful. "We need to move at night," Cale told Darrow. "The patrols will be fewer, and shadows will hide us. The city is dangerous, but we can reach the princess if we plan carefully." Darrow nodded, his eyes wide with determination. He had learned a lot from Cale, and now he understood the importance of this mission. The humans inside the capital were counting on them, even if they did not know it yet. That evening, they waited behind a rocky hill, watching the city. Lights glowed along the walls, and faint noises of activity reached them. Cale whispered instructions to Darrow: "Stay low, follow me exactly, and do not make a sound. Every step matters. If we are discovered, the mission fails." Under the cover of darkness, they moved. Cale led Darrow through a narrow gap in the outer wall, using a hidden path he had spotted from a distance. The guards did not notice them. Once inside, they crouched behind barrels and crates. Moving silently through the city streets, the capital was alive with activity. But most of the humans had been forced to hide in secret places. Cale's heart ached for them, but he knew they could change the situation if the princess was warned. They reached a quiet alley where Cale could see the palace in the distance. The building was massive, with high walls and reinforced gates. This was where Princess Leora lived. Cale knew that she held the key to uniting humans and organizing a proper resistance. They had come too far to fail now. Suddenly, a patrol appeared. Ahead, two aliens moved slowly, their glowing weapons scanning the area. Cale crouched low, signaling Darrow to stay still. He studied their movements carefully. Timing was critical. The patrol paused, turned, and moved on. Cale waited until the last guard passed, then led Darrow forward. Every step was calculated, every shadow a chance to hide. Finally, they reached the palace gates. They were tall, reinforced with metal and energy shields. Cale studied the guards. At the entrance, there were fewer than expected, but heavily armed. He thought quickly. Remembering the traps he had set during their journey, he picked up a loose stone and hurled it toward a distant wall. The noise drew the guards' attention. As they moved to investigate, Cale and Darrow slipped inside the gate, inside the palace. The halls were wide and quiet. Cale and Darrow moved carefully, avoiding patrols and using shadows for cover. The air smelled faintly of metal and stone, and the silence was heavy. They reached a small corridor that led directly to the princess's chambers. Cale paused and listened. Voices were inside. "Princess Leora," Cale whispered. "I need to speak with you. It is urgent. The aliens are planning an attack, and humans must be ready." The voices fell silent. A moment later, the door opened, and a young woman appeared. She had brown hair tied back, eyes sharp and alert, and a calm, strong presence. Princess Leora studied Cale carefully. "Who are you?" she asked. "How did you enter the palace?" "Without being seen. My name is Cale," he replied. "I survived an attack by the alien General Varkin. He left me behind, thinking I was weak. But I am here to warn you. Humans can resist, but but we need your help. You are the only one who can unite them." Princess Leora studied him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. "Come in. Tell me everything. There's little time before the aliens make their move." Kale entered the chamber and began to explain. He told her about the ambush, the hidden colony, and the journey he had taken with Darrow. He described the alien patrols, the destroyed settlements, and the traps he had learned to use. He spoke of human resilience, cleverness, and courage. Every word was precise and urgent. Leora listened carefully, asking questions about the alien strategies and weaknesses. She was intelligent and thoughtful, clearly used to making quick decisions. "If what you say is true, we need to act immediately," she said. "Humans cannot wait. We must prepare our defenses and warn the hidden colonies." Kale nodded. "Exactly. Humans can fight, but only if they know the truth and are organized. The aliens believe we are weak, but we are not. We can outsmart them and survive." Darrow stepped forward, proud and confident. "I saw it all with Kale. We can survive. We can fight." Leora smiled slightly. "You're brave, boy, and you have a teacher who knows the dangers. Together, we can make a difference." That night, they worked quickly. Kale and Leora planned strategies to alert the hidden colonies and organize human resistance. They marked safe routes, escape paths, and locations to set traps for alien patrols. Every plan relied on speed, intelligence, and human courage. The princess asked questions, challenged ideas, and added her own knowledge of the city. Together, they created a plan that could save countless lives. As dawn approached, Kale looked at the princess and Darrow. The journey had been long and dangerous, but the real mission was just beginning. Humans had survived against impossible odds before, and now they would rise again. Kale felt a surge of determination. He had survived Varkin's attack, guided a young fighter, and reached the capital. Now it was time to make humans strong again. "Princess." Leora finally spoke. "Kale, we cannot wait any longer. Gather the humans, alert the colonies, and prepare for battle. The aliens will not stop, but neither will we. Humans survive because we fight, because we plan, and because we refuse to give up." "You have reminded me of that truth." Kale nodded, his heart steady. The journey had been dangerous, but he knew that humans had the strength, courage, and intelligence to survive. Together with the princess, he would lead them to a chance for freedom. Darrow looked up at Kale and whispered, "We really can win, can't we?" Kale smiled. "Yes, we can. Humans never give up. We survive, we adapt, and we fight back. That is what makes us strong." The sun rose over the capital, casting light on the city and the palace. Humans were hiding, scared, but they had hope. With Kale, Darrow, and Princess Leora, they would have a chance to resist the alien threat. The real battle was coming, and humans were ready to prove that they could survive anything. Kale, Darrow, and Princess Leora moved quickly through the palace halls, preparing for the first action of the human resistance. The princess had called together trusted humans from hidden colonies. Some were strong fighters, others clever strategists, and all were ready to risk everything for freedom. Kale studied the group. He had trained Darrow, but now he saw the potential in these people. They had survived the alien rule, hiding, watching, and waiting. Now, it was time to take the first step toward fighting back. Princess Leora spoke to the group. "The aliens believe we are weak. They patrol our lands and control our cities. But they do not know that humans can think, plan, and fight together. Today, we send a message. We will show them that we survive and will not give up." Kale stepped forward. "We have scouts who know the patrol routes. We know where the aliens are strongest and where they are careless. Tonight, we strike a small outpost. We will not destroy it entirely, but we will send a clear warning. Humans are awake, and we will not be silent." Darrow's eyes shone with excitement. "We can do this. I know we can." The group prepared quietly. Weapons were checked. Supplies were packed, and everyone memorized the plan. They would move in small teams, avoid detection, and use traps to confuse the aliens. Every action had to be precise. Kale reminded them that one mistake could be deadly, but success would show humans their own power. Night fell, and the resistance moved through hidden paths toward the alien outpost. The stars above were bright, and the wind whispered through the trees. Kale led Darrow and a small team, keeping low and silent. The patrols were visible, but careful timing allowed them to move undetected. Kale signaled the group to halt near a hill overlooking the outpost. The small base was guarded by two watchtowers and several armed aliens walking the perimeter. Kale studied their movements carefully. The guards followed a predictable rhythm, giving the humans a chance to act. Place the traps, Kale whispered. We want to scare them, not destroy everything. Make them know humans are watching. The team set small noise-making devices along the paths. Designed to draw the aliens' attention away from the main approach, Darrow carried one device, and Kale helped him position it near a patrol path. When triggered, it would spin and make a loud, glowing noise. The aliens would investigate, giving the humans an advantage. When the traps were ready, Kale signaled to move forward. They approached the main gate of the outpost. The guards were distracted by the first devices, investigating strange noises. Kale's group slipped through a side entrance, moving quickly and quietly inside the outpost. The humans worked with precision. They disabled communication devices, creating confusion among the aliens. They did not harm anyone unnecessarily, only showing that humans could reach even the most protected areas. Aliens noticed the chaos and began to panic. Kale smiled quietly. This was exactly the effect he wanted: fear, confusion, and the realization that humans were clever and brave. Darrow moved beside Kale, helping to place another noise device. They didn't see us coming, he whispered, eyes wide. Kale nodded. Humans survive because we use our minds. Strength is not enough. Cleverness is our weapon. The alarms finally rang, and alien reinforcements moved toward the outpost. Kale and the team slipped out through hidden paths they had marked earlier. The humans were grouped at a safe distance, watching the outpost from the hill. The alien guards were in chaos. They shouted orders and searched for the intruders. But the humans had already vanished. Kale turned to the group. This is our first strike. They will know we exist, and they will fear us. But remember, we are not reckless. Every step must be planned. Princess Leora smiled, proud and confident. This is only the beginning. Humans can survive. Humans can fight, and humans can organize. Today, we have shown the aliens that we are not weak. Darrow looked at Kale. I never knew humans could do this. It feels amazing to be part of it. Kale placed a hand on Darrow's shoulder. You are learning, and you are part of something bigger than yourself. Humans survive together. And now you see why, after the first strike, the humans returned to the palace. They were tired, but their spirits were high. Kale and Leora began planning the next moves. The aliens would respond, trying to strengthen their defenses. Humans had to stay ahead. Using intelligence, courage, and speed, every action mattered. Kale reminded the group. We do not fight blindly. We gather information, watch the enemy, and plan. Every move must be calculated. Humans survive because we think and adapt, Leora added, and because we believe in each other. The aliens have power, but humans have hope. That hope is stronger than any weapon. Darrow could barely contain his excitement. What's next? Can we do another strike? Kale smiled. Yes, but we must wait and watch. The next strike will be bigger, more dangerous. We will test them, then strike again, each time. Humans grow stronger, and aliens grow weaker. The group rested, but their minds were active. Maps were drawn, patrols were studied, and strategies were discussed. Every human in the resistance felt the change. Fear was replaced by courage, doubt by determination. Kale had shown them that survival was possible, and now they could fight back. As dawn approached, Kale looked at the horizon. The outpost was behind them, and the city awaited. Humans had taken their first step, but the real journey was still ahead. The aliens would respond. But Kale knew that humans were ready. Survival was not just about hiding, it was about acting, planning, and fighting together. Princess Leora spoke softly to Kale. You have done more than survive. You have shown humans that we are not helpless. We can fight, we can survive, and we can win. Kale nodded. That is what humans do. We survive, adapt, and fight back. This is only the beginning. We will continue, and we will grow stronger with each challenge. Daryl looked up at the rising sun. Humans really can do anything. Kale smiled at him. Yes, they can. And now, we prove it to everyone. The first strike was over, but the human resistance had begun. Fear and doubt would fade, replaced by courage and determination. Kale, Daryl, and Princess Leora had started a new chapter for humanity. The aliens had power, but humans had something stronger: brains, bravery, and the will to survive. The morning after the first strike, the human resistance was full of energy. But Kale knew the danger had only grown. The aliens would not ignore the attack. They would respond quickly and violently. Humans had made their mark, but now they had to be ready for the consequences. Kale gathered Princess Leora, Daryl, and the resistance leaders in the palace planning room. Maps of the city and nearby colonies covered the table. Every patrol route, outpost, and hidden path was marked with careful detail. Kale pointed to the areas the aliens were likely to reinforce. They know we exist. Kale said, the outposts will be strengthened. Patrols will increase. We must expect an attack. But we can use it to our advantage. Humans survive because we think faster than our enemies. Leora nodded. We have the element of surprise, but they will try to remove it. We need to protect the colonies and prepare traps. Every alien who enters our territory should find humans ready. Daryl listened closely. How can we be ready for so many? Kale smiled. We do not fight alone. We use strategy. We force them to make mistakes, and then we strike. Humans survive because we adapt. Always adapt. That afternoon, scouts returned. With reports, alien patrols had doubled. Reinforcements were moving toward the human colonies. Kale studied the patterns carefully. The aliens were reacting quickly, but not perfectly. Mistakes were already visible. Humans could use these mistakes. Kale instructed small teams to move toward the colonies. Their mission was simple: warn humans, prepare defenses, and set traps along likely alien routes. Daryl led a team for the first time, following the lessons he had learned from Kale. He felt nervous, but also ready. This was his moment to prove he could help humans survive. The teams moved in stealth, moving through forests, hills, and abandoned roads. Humans hiding in small settlements were scared, but when they saw the teams, their fear turned to hope. Kale's strategy worked. Humans were no longer hiding silently, they were preparing to fight back. That night, the aliens launched their response. A squadron of flying ships appeared near the main colony. Beams of light scanned the forest below, searching for any movement. The humans were ready. Kale had set traps along the paths, including glowing decoys and noise-making devices. As the alien squadron descended, confusion spread among their ranks. Daryl and his team watched from the tree line. They had positioned themselves along a ridge overlooking the alien approach. When the ships triggered the first traps, they spun wildly and emitted bright lights. Some of the alien vehicles crashed into trees or retreated. Others tried to land, but more traps forced them to move in the wrong directions. Kale moved swiftly through the shadows, directing small groups to block the alien advance. Humans used simple tools, quick thinking, and clever tactics to slow down the enemy. The aliens had strength and weapons, but humans had planning, intelligence, and courage. Every strike was calculated to confuse, delay, and weaken the alien forces. The first battle was tense. Alien weapons fired beams of energy, but humans dodged and avoided direct conflict when possible. Instead, they used the environment against the aliens. Fallen trees, pits, and decoys created chaos. The resistance fought with the knowledge that survival depended on brains, not just strength. During the chaos, Daryl spotted an alien commander trying to organize the troops. He knew this was his chance to act. Quietly, he signaled to his team and moved carefully toward the commander. With a combination of traps and quick thinking, they forced the commander to retreat. The aliens became disorganized, losing their advantage. Kale watched from a hilltop. Good work. He whispered to Darrow. Humans survive because we take risks carefully and use our minds. Courage is important, but thinking is stronger. As the night continued, the humans gradually forced the aliens to retreat. Some ships returned to the sky, scanning for survivors, but most left the area. The Resistance had won this battle, but Kale knew it was only temporary. The aliens would regroup, bringing more troops, stronger weapons, and new strategies. Humans had survived tonight, but the war was just beginning. After the battle, Kale and Leora gathered the humans. They were exhausted, but their faces were filled with pride. They had seen that humans could fight back. The fear that had once kept them hiding was replaced by determination tonight. Humans survived, Leora said. We showed the aliens that we are not weak. We are clever, brave, and united. But this is only the start. The next time, they will come stronger. We must be ready. Kale stepped forward. Every challenge makes us stronger. Every mistake the aliens make is a chance. For us, humans survive because we adapt, we plan, and we never give up. Remember that. We fight for survival, and survival is our greatest strength. Darrow looked at the faces around him. I never knew humans could be this strong together. We are not just hiding anymore. We are alive, and we can fight. Kale nodded. Yes, and we will fight until humans are safe. Every victory teaches us something. Every defeat makes us better. That is why humans survive. The night ended with the humans returning to the palace, tired but alive. Kale checked the traps and watched the horizon. He knew the aliens were planning their next move. They would strike again, stronger and smarter. Humans had to be ready to respond, to outthink, and to survive. Princess Leora walked beside Kale. The people believe in us now. They see hope. That is more powerful than any weapon. Keep teaching them, guiding them, and leading them. Kale looked at the rising sun. Humans survive because we do not stop. Fear may exist, but courage and intelligence are stronger. Every step we take prepares us for the next challenge. Darrow smiled. We can do this. I believe we can win. Kale placed a hand on Darrow's shoulder. We will survive. We will adapt, and we will fight. Humans never give up. And now, we show the aliens why. The first alien response had been defeated. But the humans knew it was only the beginning. Battles would come, challenges would grow, and danger would increase. But the human resistance had started, and nothing could stop them from fighting for survival. Brains, courage, and unity were on their side, and that was stronger than any alien weapon. The humans had survived the first strikes, and the aliens had retreated for now. But Kale knew this was only temporary. The alien forces were planning their largest attack yet. They wanted to end the human resistance and take control of every colony. Humans had to act quickly or risk being destroyed. Kale called a meeting with Princess Leora, Darrow, and the leaders of the resistance. Maps covered the table, showing all the colonies, hidden paths, and alien patrol routes. Every move had to be precise, every action calculated. This would be the final stand for the survival of humans in the region. The aliens will come with their strongest forces, Kale said. We cannot fight them with weapons alone. We must use intelligence, traps, and strategy. Every human must know their role. Survival depends on our unity and courage. Leora nodded. We have prepared our people. We have taught them to think, to adapt, and to fight together. Today, humans will prove that survival is not only about strength. It is about heart, mind, and spirit. Darrow studied the maps. Where should we make our stand? Kale pointed to a narrow valley between two hills. Here, the terrain will help us. We can set traps along the slopes, block the paths, and force the aliens into places where we can control them. Humans survive when we use our environment wisely. The humans work through the day, preparing the valley. They build obstacles, set decoys, and place noise and light devices to confuse the aliens. Everyone had a role, from the youngest scout to the strongest fighter. Every human knew their importance. As night fell, the alien forces appeared on the horizon. Ships flew above, beams of light scanning the valley below. Ground forces moved forward, armored and ready. but humans were ready too. They had studied the alien patterns, anticipated their movements, and prepared traps. Courage and strategy were their weapons. Kale signaled the humans to their positions. Darrow led a small team on the left slope, ready to trigger the first traps. Leora coordinated the communications and guided reinforcements. Kale took a central position, overseeing the valley and signaling teams when the aliens moved. The first clash began. Aliens moved into the valley, expecting an easy advance. But humans had made the terrain a trap. Fallen trees blocked paths. Pits hidden under leaves stopped armored vehicles. And decoy lights led some alien troops into confusion. Humans struck quickly, disabling equipment and forcing the aliens into narrow paths, where their numbers were less useful. Darrow's team activated the first traps. Machines spun, lights flashed, and strange noises distracted the alien soldiers. Some of their vehicles collided, while others retreated, unsure of what was happening. Darrow felt a rush of courage. Humans can do this, he shouted, watching. His team worked together flawlessly. Kale moved along the central ridge, directing small groups to strike key targets. He was calm, focused, and alert. Every action counted. Humans survived because they thought faster than their enemies, used the terrain wisely, and stayed united. Leora coordinated reinforcements from hidden paths. Humans appeared suddenly, striking from behind, cutting off alien forces and confusing them further. The aliens had power, but humans had intelligence, courage, and planning. Every move was calculated to weaken the enemy without unnecessary risk. The battle continued through the night. The aliens tried to regroup, but every attempt failed. Humans had prepared carefully. Their traps, strategies, and coordination kept the aliens off balance. Slowly, the alien forces began to retreat. Their losses were greater than expected, and their morale was shaken. During a brief pause, Kale and Darrow moved to the center of the valley. "We have done well so far," Kale said. "But the aliens may try one last attack. We must be ready to adapt again. Humans survive because we never stop thinking and acting." Darrow nodded. "I understand. We're ready." The aliens launched their final strike. A large armored unit tried to push through the center of the valley. Kale had anticipated this. Signals were sent to the teams on the slopes, and additional traps were triggered. The armored unit was forced into narrow paths filled with obstacles. Humans struck from the sides, disabling the machines and forcing the soldiers to surrender or retreat. It was the turning point. The alien forces realized they could not defeat the humans. Their strongest attack had failed. Humans, using intelligence, courage, and unity, had survived and gained the advantage. As the sun began to rise, the valley was quiet. Humans stood together, tired but victorious. They had survived the largest attack and had shown the aliens that humans could not be destroyed easily. Fear and doubt were replaced with hope and confidence. Kale looked at the horizon. "This is more than a victory. Humans have shown that survival is not just about strength. It is about planning, courage, and working together. The aliens may have power, but humans have heart and mind. That is stronger than any weapon." Leora joined him. "The people see it now. They know that humans can survive and fight. Today, we have proven that humans will not give up, no matter the challenge." Darrow smiled, looking at the valley filled with humans. "We really did it. We survived and won. Humans are stronger than I ever imagined." Kale placed a hand on Darrow's shoulder. "Yes, we are. And we will continue to survive, to adapt, and to protect each other. Humans never give up. That is why we win." The humans returned to their colonies, carrying the message of courage and unity. News of the victory spread quickly. Humans everywhere felt hope and strength. The alien threat had been challenged, and humans had survived through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Kale, Darrow, and Princess Leora stood together, looking at the horizon. "The fight is not over," Kale said, "but humans have shown that we are alive and that we will survive. That is the greatest victory of all." Leora smiled. "The humans will rebuild, grow stronger, and protect each other. We have learned that survival is not just hiding. It is standing together and fighting for our future." Daryl looked at Kale. I understand now. Survival is about more than living. It is about courage, thinking, and helping others. Humans really can do anything when we are united. Kale nodded. Yes, Daryl. That is why humans survive. And today, we proved it to everyone. The aliens may return, but humans will always be ready. We are strong, clever, and brave. And we will never give up. The sun rose fully over the valley, lighting up the human resistance. They had survived the greatest attack, and their courage and intelligence had won the day. Humans were no longer hiding. They were alive, strong, and united. And the story of their survival and victory would inspire future generations. The last stand had ended, but the legend of human courage and survival would continue forever.